I'm using new project. In this section, I'll show you project and applications. In one project, any number of applications can be developed. Inside a project, developing multiple applications. Something like multiple micro applications. It will be microservices architecture, Django following microservices architecture by default. In one project, any number of small applications. In one application, you can develop only one service or few services or one module services. Inside a project, any number of applications. Inside application, you can develop only one service or few services or one module services. You can go for module wise developing your project. For one module, you can choose one application. You can also choose application for only one service or few services. First, let me create a project. I'm creating a project with a name as PR1. By using Java admin, we can create a project through Start Project option. Project is created. Inside project, you can develop a number of services. In the last section, we have seen developing services inside a project itself. Developing services inside a project itself. Any number of services inside a Python file. For those services, you have to give URLs in the predefined file urls.py. Let us see one simple service straight away inside a project. So right click on project, go to the new, select a file, any file name. Let me go for my views.py. .py is optional. Inside this file, you can develop any number of functions. Each function can be assigned to one URL. Inside a function, we can develop a service. Function should be through a def keyword. In Python, functions are defining through def keyword. You can give any name to the function, but this function should take input of the customer. That input you can supply with one argument. The function body will be starting through colon. Inside this function, You can do any number of service. You can develop any number of services. I am from PR1 test 1. You can develop any number of statements in order to achieve one customer service. To serve to customer, whatever statements required, those statements can be developed. Finally, we need to return a response object. Return HTTP response. For this HTTP response, you can supply output straight away, or you can assign one HTML. Developing output in the HTML, specifying that HTML. Otherwise, straight away providing output as an argument to HTTP response. And from main PR dot test 1. This HTTP response should be imported. Try importing HTTP response. We are not getting a suggestion. This is a simple service we developed straight away inside a project. Any number of services can be developed inside a project. You can give a URLs straight away in the urls.py. This urls.py is a predefined file. You should not change the name to that. Try using that as it is. It is providing by start project Django admin. While creating a project, it itself providing URLs. Go inside URLs. Go inside URLs. Every URL should be specified through a path under URL patterns list. There is a URL patterns list. You can provide any number of paths here. Let me copy an existing path. I'll go for URL as a T1. Specify a function whatever we develop. Under import, go for from my views. Then inside my views, whatever method name is there, that is function name. My views dot test. This is the service in the main project itself. This is the service in the main project itself. Let us check it out. This service. To check this one, we have to start the project. How we can start the project? Inside a project, there is a manage.py. We need to run that manage.py by using Python command. Go inside a PR1. Inside a PR1 only, manage is there. We need to run manage by using Python command. It's a file, Python file, manage.py. For the manage.py, we have to supply one option, run server. We develop a service inside a project itself. For that service, we provided a path also. The path URL is T1. From a browser, you have to specify T1. While clicking on this URL, straight away browser is open. You can also copy by default. It is taking Microsoft browser. Go to the address bar, specify URL of the service. URL of the service is T1. One second. Just to mention just to T1, not the forward slash, only T1. This is the way of developing services inside a project itself. Any number of services can be developed inside a project. Service is nothing but a function. For that function, you need to assign URL. All URLs we are assigning in one common file, urls.py. Now services can be developed in different Python files. I used one file, myviews.py. Inside this, any number of Python functions One function can be assigned to one function can be assigned to one service. You can see this is the function as it is taking a request and returning a response. You can assign this function to one URL so that clients can be called. What is the location to provide the URL? There is a predefined file urls.py. urls.py. Not only myviews.py, you can develop any number of Python files, import those files, and keep referring functions of those files and assign specific URLs. While assigning the URL, straight away mention the URL identifier and specify function name from a particular file. This file should be imported. This file is available in the current directory. So same we are specifying. This is how any number of services can be developed inside a main project itself. Now let us see how we can create applications inside a project. Already project is ready. We wanted an application inside this project. Let's see how. Stop the server through Control C. By using Control C, we can stop the server. By using Python command, again run, manage.py, start the app. You can give any name to the application. Use the Python command, run manage.py, and start the app, application name of the application. To create a project, we have to use Django admin. After creating a project, you will be getting manage.py. Use manage.py in order to create applications inside a project. You have to give an option as start app. Now you can see app1 folder. Please observe, this is the PR1. It's a project folder. Inside a project folder, project specific information and separate applications information. Project folder, project specific, separate application specific. Go inside app 1. Inside app 1, by default you are getting a views.py. Please observe. You can go to the views.py or you can develop a new Python file. I'm going to the views.py. Any number of functions you can develop here. There is no mandatory like all the functions should be developed in the views.py. You can create your own Python file. It is specific to app 1. App 1 is a part of project 1. So here I will be developing a simple service. Let's go for hello 1. go for one print statement. App1 hello1. You can return HTTP response. We are one app1 hello1. Try importing HTTP response. We are not using this one. This also we are not using. Go for from Django .http import HTTP response. There is a typo error. Now, whatever URLs file we have seen inside a project, this is what the URLs file inside a project. Let me copy the same. Whatever services you are developing inside app1, for every service, try providing URL mapping inside app1 itself. Inside app1, try creating one Python file. Let me go for URLs. Any name you can choose. I'm choosing URLs. In this URLs, whatever copied, try providing the same. In this file, in the app1 views, what is the function name inside a views? Hello1. You can give any URL. I'm just giving a name as H1. Please observe, inside app1, I developed services in the views.py. For all the services of views.py, I'm developing URL mappings in the urls.py. This is the app1. Any number of Python files we can develop for services purpose, like a views. Inside views, we developed hello1 service. Then we created explicitly URLs file, urls.py. Inside app1, urls.py. In urls.py, I'm trying to provide a path to services of app1. This first line isn't required. Remove this. If you're removing first line, then you don't require this line also. We are using path, same path we are importing. We are using views, same views we are importing. This is app1 URLs specific file. Please observe and repeat once again. Inside a PR1, we created an application. While creating an application, we are getting empty views.py. In this views.py, I defined one service. You can develop any number of services in the views.py. You can also create other Python files in the same app1 for different services purpose. As we got a default views.py, I'm using the same. Inside a views.py, I developed one function hello1, def hello1. Then for this hello1, we need to provide a URL in the project folder, in the application folder itself. In the application folder app1. So here we don't have a URLs file. You have to create one Python file with any name. I'm just choosing urls.py itself. Go inside urls.py. Try defining URL patterns list. Any number of paths. We have only one service. For that service, assigning URL to a path. Path is imported and this service is available in the views. Views also imported. Now, this entire application can be referred through these URLs. Inside the URLs, we specified all the services and corresponding URL pattern through paths. Whatever services we are developing inside application 1, all the services specified in the urls.py. Now this urls.py should be specified in the main project urls.py. This is the main file. All application URLs should be specified here. Runtime will be looking for project urls.py. Inside that, you can import all application URLs. Every application URL file containing entire information of that current application. App1 application, the detailed information of app1 application available in the urls.py. This urls.py should be imported into main project urls.py. Let's see how. Go inside a urls.py. This is the application specific urls.py. In the application specific urls.py, you have to include app1. Your project specific urls.py. Inside that, we have to include app1 URLs. How we can include? So for including also, we have to use a path. Better to specify URL to this path is application name, but you can choose any name. Application name /. Inside application name, whatever sub URLs are there, those will be considering. As it is a application URL, it is an application URL. We have to include URL files inside that application. Let us go for include. For the include, we had to specify name of the application inside that whatever file name. The file name is URLs only. File name is URLs only. Specify the same. This include should be imported from the same URLs along with the path. Specify under app1.urls should be under single quote. That's all. So path can be used in two ways to specify a particular service like a T1. The second is to specify application URL file. Application URL file. T1 is for specific service app1 slash. We had to give a slash here, otherwise app1 straight away hello one. Inside a app1.urls we provided just h1. So try providing a separator as a forward slash. Now hello one service can be accessed through app1 slash h1. Please observe, this is the path to refer to this function. Inside this function, we provided a service. That service will be executed while referring T1. While referring app1, this is not a service, this is not a function. It is a URL file whichever is there inside your app1 application. This we are using to include. Now app1 should be prefixed to all the URLs whichever available inside app1 URLs. Inside app1 URLs, there is a h1. To access h1, we had to prefix app1. Why? Because in the main URLs, we choose path as a app1 to refer every service of app1. Inside app1, whatever services we develop, for all the services, prefix should be app1. Now, run the server. How to run the server? Use manage.py to run the server. Python manage.py run server. You can call T1 straight away, but H1 should be called with the prefix as app1. Application started, project started, click on this. There is no welcome file. That is why we got this error. To access a T1 service, use straight away T1. To access H1 service, start with application name, then H1. Prefix as a app1 we have chosen. H1 views.hello1. So please observe, in the main project urls.py, the current project's services can be referred straight away. Another application's URL file can be referred through application specific URL, and inside that application, whatever URL file we develop, that should be through include. Inside a project itself, we can develop services. Inside a project, we can develop applications. Inside an application, any number of services. We can provide path to the application, path to the service. This is the path to service. This is the path to application. While specifying a path to application, inside that application, specify URLs file. We provided a file name as URLs inside app1. This is the application name. This is the Python file inside that application name. Remember everybody, this is the path for a particular service in the current project itself. In the current project, in the main project itself, in the root of the project, whatever services you develop, for those services, give a straight away, come on, give a path straight away. The second one, giving a path to application. While giving a path to application, you need to include URLs file of that application. Let me stop the server. Let us create one more application. Let us use that application also. Control C to stop the server. Now, run manage.py to create a new project. I'm creating a new application. Start a project application. In the Python terminology, project and application. In other programming languages, project and application both are one and the same. Only here there is a small difference in the meaning. App2 created. Inside app2, there is a views.py. You can use this one if you want to develop services inside a views.py. Otherwise, you can develop your own Python file. Let us right click on app2. I'm creating my own file. Let us go for services.py. I'm choosing file name itself as services. So here you can develop import HTTP response. Then go for definition, any function name. I'm just using function name as py1, assume like a Python function. Any name you can choose. It should require a input purpose request. Here also you can go for just print. I'm from pr1 app2. Go for return HTTP response. Let me go for h1. The same message I will be providing. You can supply plain text or HTML content. You can also add HTML file. How to specify HTML file rather than composing HTML content? You can compose HTML content in the HTML file and you can supply that. That portion I'll be showing in the next section. So py1 is a service in the app2 we developed in the services for the services Python file. Now, so here we are not getting URLs file. Create one URLs file. Any name you can give. I'm just giving like a all URLs. Any name you can choose. So here we should define one list. We should define one list. There are some kind of imports available. So I'm just copying any of the URLs. I'm copying app1 for the same. Let us go for path as a p1. File name as services. From the services, we develop only one service, that is py1. That's all. Application 2 with one service and its corresponding path, both are done. Please observe, in the new application, we defined services.py and developed one service. Any number of services can be developed in one Python file. Service is nothing but just a function. After developing a simple function in the services.py, go to the create a file called all URLs. Go inside, specify path to the py1. Now this should be included in the main project URLs. All URLs should be included in the main file. So go to this is app2. Go inside a pr1 urls.py. Let me copy this line. I'm giving application URL is app2. You can give different name also. Application URL, you can give different name also. Not only application name, better to give application name. Inside app2 folder, it is inside app2. This is the project name. Here you should not give different name. Come on. This is the project name. Inside a project name, we develop all URLs. All URLs. Now here, totally 3 services. One is inside a main project. Another is inside app1. Third one inside app2. To access T1 straight away after 8000. To access any URL from the app1, that URL should prefix app1. Similarly, any URL from app2 that should be prefixed with the app. Now, run the server. To run the server, we have to run manage. Now go to the browser. If you give app1/h1, it is a hello1 service. Let's go for p1 inside app2. Prefix it to. Prefix to p1 should be app2. We used header 1 tag. That is why we are getting like this. Now you can start any project with this much information. So project will be having multiple customer requests. For every request, we will be developing one service to serve that request. We got to know how to develop services. You can organize all the services by choosing different applications. If it is a simple project, you may not be required applications. If it is a complex, a bigger project, you require applications. You can develop services in the project itself, or you can develop services in other applications inside a project. Through these multiple applications, we are able to achieve microservices architecture. Now you can develop multiple services inside app1, multiple services inside app2. Like app1 and app2, develop some more applications. Try including their URLs in the main project URLs and keep experimenting.